Since I was a young boy, I played the silver ball from Soho down the Brighton.
1969, a year that felt like the world was at the crossroads of history. The Vietnam War raged on. Civil rights leaders had been silenced, but their echoes grew louder. Man set foot on the moon, and Woodstock became the largest gathering of music and counterculture ever seen. But while politicians debated the future and protesters marched the streets, something extraordinary was happening in music. Rock, barely 15 years old as a genre, was beginning to outgrow its teenage rebellion. In 1969, it turned experimental, political, spiritual, and sometimes even apocalyptic. What we now take for granted: stadium rock, progressive epics, the birth of metal and punk, singer-songwriter intimacy, all of it had its seeds in this one year. Tonight, we dive into the 15 songs from 1969 that didn't just top charts. They changed the entire trajectory of rock music.
I got a certain little girl, she's on my mind. No doubt about it, she looks so.
By 1969, Deep Purple was still searching for its true identity. Their cover of Joe South's Hush had already made waves in the US in '68, but it was the live versions in '69, powered by their brand new lineup within Gillan and Roger Glover, that hinted at something bigger. What audiences heard was different: a sharper edge, a thunderous rhythm section, and Gillan's banshee wail piercing through the mix. This wasn't psychedelic pop anymore, it was the beginning of heavy rock, studio or stage note. The transition was brutal behind the scenes. Firing their previous singer, Rod Evans, fractured friendships, and the band was nearly broke.
Hush, I thought I heard her calling my name now. Hush, hush.
But this risk, adding Gillan and Glover, turned Deep Purple into pioneers. Within a year, they'd help invent heavy metal. August 1969. A song so raw that critics dismissed it as noise, 3 chords, feedback, distortion, and Iggy Pop's animalistic delivery. At the time, it sold barely anything, but in hindsight, this was a revolution. The Stooges were tearing down rocks polished veneer and exposing its primal heart.
Be your dog, now I wanna be your dog.
Hidden detail, the signature piano note that clanks through the entire song. That's John Cale of the Velvet Underground, giving the track its hypnotic menace. Cultural shockwaves. Punk wasn't born in London in '76, it was seeded here in 1969. Every band from the Ramones to Nirvana owes a debt to this track. From the album Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, Neil Young stepped into electric chaos with his new band, Crazy Horse. Down by the River stretched over 9 minutes. But it wasn't about solos in the traditional sense, it was about atmosphere, about creating tension with minimal chords. Behind the scenes, Neil recorded much of the album live, refusing to polish mistakes. The looseness became the charm. His searing, ragged solos would inspire entire genres decades later, from Pearl Jam to Sonic Youth. This wasn't just a song, it was the blueprint for grunge. Before Woodstock, Santana were virtually unknown outside San Francisco. After Woodstock, they were legends. The reason? Soul Sacrifice. That performance, Latin percussion colliding with psychedelic guitar, was like nothing else. Michael Shreve's drum solo, performed when he was only 20, became one of the most iconic in rock history. Legendary backstory: the band had dropped acid before going on stage. Santana later admitted that he was so high, he thought his guitar neck was a snake he had to wrestle to the ground. That tension fueled one of the most fiery live performances ever caught on film. It launched Santana's career and introduced the world to the idea of world fusion rock.
I am yours, you are mine, you are what you are.
The summer of '69 wasn't all distortion and protest. It also gave us harmonies that felt like they came from another planet.
Make it hard. Remember what we've said.
Crosby, Stills and Nash's debut single, Sweet, Judy Blue Eyes, clocked in at over 7 minutes, yet became a radio hit.
And felt about each other. Oh, baby.
Studio detail. The trio's harmonies were so airtight, engineers record them singing full takes without overdubs.
From me now, you are free. And
Impact. This track announced the arrival of the singer-songwriter era, influencing Joni Mitchell, Fleetwood Mac, and countless artists who embraced vulnerability and intimacy within rock.
Hey, Rocklore community. Before we continue, let's have a real talk for a second, bro. You know, this isn't just a channel to us. And I hope it's not just a place you come to watch a video and then forget about it. This is a community. It's a place where we get to dig up the secrets of rock and roll, share our favorite riffs, and celebrate the artists who maybe didn't get the love they deserved. Right now, only about 1% of our viewers are subscribed. We can change that together and grow this community. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. When you do, you're not just helping a channel grow, you're becoming a member of the Rocklore family. You're signaling to us and to YouTube that these stories matter, that this music is worth preserving, and that this community is a place you want to be. Subscribing is your way of making sure you're always in the loop. It means you'll be the first to know when we unearth a forgotten legend, drop a new countdown, or dive into a piece of rock history you've never heard before. So if you're a true fan of the lore, if you get that same feeling of discovery that I do, then come join us. It takes 1 second to be a part of something bigger.
Released in July 1969, just 9 days before Apollo 11 landed on the moon, Bowie's space Oddity turned a sci-fi story about a lonely astronaut into a haunting metaphor for alienation. Behind the scenes, Bowie was on the brink of career failure, having been dropped by his label. The moon landing hype rescued him. The moon landing hype rescued him. His manager pushed Space Oddity as the soundtrack to humanity's greatest achievement. Now it's time to leave the capture. It didn't just make Bowie a star, it laid the groundwork for rock as theater, persona, and performance art. In an era defined by psychedelia and revolution, the band went backwards to the Civil War. Their 1969 self-titled album was full of rustic imagery, but The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down stood out as Levin Helm's aching tribute to the South's defeat. Controversy. Robbie Robertson, who wrote the song, was Canadian. Some critics argued he romanticized the Confederacy, but Helm's authentic Arkansas roots gave it weight.
Back with my wife in Tennessee, when one day...
Cultural impact. The band essentially created the Americana genre here. Bruce Springsteen and Tom Petty carried its torch into the mainstream. Pete Townshend's ambitious rock opera Tommy shocked the world. The story of a deaf, dumb, and blind pinball champion might have seemed absurd, but Pinball Wizard became a genuine hit. Behind the music, Townshend admitted he wrote the song partly to impress rock critic N.I.K. Conn, who was obsessed with pinball. The ploy worked. Conn's glowing review gave Tommy a huge boost. This track wasn't just a single, it was a gateway for rock operas and concept albums, influencing everything from The War to American Idiot. It sounds cheerful. But listen closer, and you'll hear apocalyptic dread. I see trouble on the way. Written in just 20 minutes by John Fogerty, Bad Moon Rising became an accidental anthem of unease in a year defined by political and social unrest. If Bad Moon Rising warned of storms, Fortunate Son was the storm itself. Released in November 1969, it tore into the Vietnam War draft and the inequality of privilege. Studio detail, Fogerty refused elaborate production. He wanted it to feel urgent, almost rushed, like a protest chant. It remains one of the most powerful protest songs in rock history. In the shadows of Lennon and McCartney, George Harrison crafted one of the most enduring Beatles songs of all time. Written in Eric Clapton's garden after a dark winter, here comes the sun symbolized hope amid chaos. Fun fact, despite the band's tensions, the track radiates peace. Today, it's the Beatles' most streamed song, proof that Harrison's quiet brilliance stood the test of time. From Abbey Road, Lennon's swampy groove wasn't originally intended for the Beatles. It began as a campaign song for Timothy Leary's run against Ronald Reagan. Studio backstory. Paul McCartney added the distinctive bass riff that transformed it into a hypnotic anthem. It was one of the last flashes of brilliance before the Beatles disintegrated, and a reminder that even fractured, they were untouchable. No song captures the darkness of 1969 like Gimme Shelter. The opening riff feels like an air raid siren. The lyrics warn of war, rape and murder, and Mary Clayton's spontaneous, searing vocal nearly breaks as she screams, "Rape, murder, it's just a shot away." Recording story. Clayton was pregnant when she was called to the studio late at night. Her voice cracked on a high note, but it was so powerful the Stones left it in. This wasn't just music. It was a prophecy, and when Altamont descended into chaos later that year, it felt like the song had foretold it. Jimmy Page's iconic riff, Robert Plant's Primal Wail, a middle section that felt like being swallowed by sound itself. Whole Lotta Love was the moment Zeppelin announced themselves as gods of rock. Studio trick. That swirling breakdown wasn't a track trip, it was Page experimenting with tape loops and panning. It was the blueprint for arena rock, heavy metal, and everything in between.
Hey, Rocklore community. Before we continue, let's have a real talk for a second, bro. You know, this isn't just a channel to us. And I hope it's not just a place you come to watch a video and then forget about it. This is a community. It's a place where we get to dig up the secrets of rock and roll, share our favorite riffs, and celebrate the artists who maybe didn't get the love they deserved. Right now, only about 1% of our viewers are subscribed. We can change that together and grow this community. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. When you do, you're not just helping a channel grow, you're becoming a member of the Rocklore family. You're signaling to us and to YouTube that these stories matter, that this music is worth preserving, and that this community is a place you want to be. Subscribing is your way of making sure you're always in the loop. It means you'll be the first to know when we unearth a forgotten legend, drop a new countdown, or dive into a piece of rock history you've never heard before. So if you're a true fan of the lore, if you get that same feeling of discovery that I do, then come join us. It takes 1 second to be a part of something bigger.
October 1969. Rock had never sounded like this before. Heavy riffs, Chastine's signatures, political rage, and Greg Lake's distorted vocals. Fun detail. Jimi Hendrix himself reportedly called King Crimson the best band in the world after hearing this track. This wasn't just progressive rock being born, it was proof that rock could be limitless, an art form equal to classical or jazz. The journey doesn't end here. Rock Warrior, watch this next.